18 miles. Today's my long run day.
From where?
I am going to start right here, Main Street in Greenfield, and just go wherever. Probably run through Greenfield and Turner's, loop back around to Greenfield.
Keith Giroux is a marathon runner, a writer who was recently published in Runner's World magazine, an artist, poet, and full-time employee of a local manufacturing company. But he wasn't always this productive. We originally met Keith inside at the Franklin County House of Corrections during a collaboration between residents and educators from GCC, known as the Elm Street Think Tank. We later became interested in his story after he ran the Boston Marathon on a treadmill inside the jail. Now that Keith has returned to the outside world, his ambitions have blossomed. His focus has become goal-oriented, he is sober, and he is registered and in training for the 2017 Boston Marathon.
You need something to work toward. You need goals. You need to set goals for yourself. If you walk out the door not having any idea of what you want to do with your life or how you're going to begin to get there, then you're not going to get far. You're going to end up back in there. It's inevitable. I've done it numerous times. I've got out in incarceration and had no idea what I was going to do with my life. I thought I was just going to go back to the same old thing. And mostly that's what I did, and it always lead back to jail. So if you have any inkling of a desire to change, then you need to set goals for yourself. You need to set goals. And if you ever suffered through addiction, you need to kick that. You need to kick that, set yourself some goals. Living clean and sober allows you to just have such a clear focus and gives you more of the willpower to be able to work toward those goals. And every time you achieve even a small goal, it just boosts your ego and gives you that much more willpower to work toward the next one and set bigger goals and work towards those. And carrying the running from the inside to the outside with me was a huge help in making that transition. It's so great in so many different aspects. You got the physical aspect that it is so invigorating, and anytime you do anything physical, you feel pretty good, unless you're overworking yourself, of course. But after every run, you have a sense of accomplishment. You know, even if it was a bad run, you still felt like you did something. You got something done today. And also, as you're running, it's just a great time to use for processing thoughts and ideas, especially if you're running alone. I think everybody has somewhat of a competitive nature. You put a lot of people together doing the same thing, and most people want to try to do it better than the other person. And so everybody wants to try to win their age group, at least, if they can't win the whole race, or even if they can't win the race or their age group, they want to set their own personal record. They want to run this 10K faster than their last 10K. So even if they're not competing with everybody else, they're competing with themselves.
Keith is being sponsored by the Hopkinton Center of the Arts in exchange for his own fundraising efforts to help maintain their ability to create art and music programs for small children and the elderly. Keith is using a GoFundMe site to accomplish this, and while he has raised about half of the required amount, he still has a way to go.
I wrote an article about my first marathon on the treadmill from the inside, which was published through Runner's World magazine, and since the running of that, I've been published in Boston magazine, NPR radio, and a couple others, and GCTV. What else can I say? That's where it all started, GCTV. Since all the sort of exposure from that, I've met some of the most amazing people from all parts of the world. I mean, Finland, Sweden, Malaysia, Thailand, just all over, and a lot of people in some really neat places. One of these people contacted me one day via email and asked me if I'd be interested in training. And he says, training for what, you might ask? And he said, well, Boston, of course. And I'm like, well, how does this work? He's like, well, I think we can get you in through a charity. I'm like, okay, that sounds great. My original intent was to, use this year, 2017, to find a good marathon to qualify my way into Boston for 2018. But how could I say no to the possibility of running Boston this year? So I jumped on that. We did some research and digging around. It was sort of last minute thing to try to find a charity that still had a bib available. We found one through the Hopkinton Center for the Arts, located in Hopkinton, Massachusetts. They are a nonprofit organization that cater to all ages, and they offer groups and classes in all forms of the arts, from visual to music, performing arts. They even do musical sessions for infants, events for seniors, and they have a 200-seat auditorium that they hold at least a half a dozen events a year in. Just a really neat organization, and part of the contract that I negotiate with them for this bib number is that I get to raise $5,000 for them, and this is my ticket into Boston. So I am already registered to run Boston. I paid my registration fee, got the confirmation of acceptance via mail and email, and all I have left to do now is raise a lot of money.
You can support Keith's goal to run the Boston Marathon by going to gofundme.com/a-run-for-meaning. And remember to keep checking back to gctv.org for ongoing community coverage.